Let's get into it. Today, we're going to crack open a linguistic time capsule and head straight back to the 1970s. We're going to decode all that groovy, far-out slang that really defined the decade and, see what it tells us about the culture back then. But first, we've got a central mystery to solve. You've probably heard this phrase thrown around, but what in the world is a jive turkey? Don't worry, we are going to solve it together by the end of this, so you'll want to stick around for the big reveal.
And that's really the whole point here, isn't it? We're not just learning a list of old, dusty words. Slang is like a secret key that unlocks the attitude, the feeling, the entire vibe of an era. It's history you can actually speak.
Okay, so let's start with the absolute basics, greetings and good vibes. This is how people in the 70s really set the tone. It was all about creating this laid-back atmosphere, which, when you think about it, was a big reaction to the more uptight decades that came before. So instead of a stiff, how are you, the 70s offered up something way more relaxed. How's it hanging? It's just so casual, it's cool, and it immediately puts you in a chill mood for whatever conversation is about to happen. And now for an absolute classic. If something was good, cool, or just all around excellent, the word was groovy. A great new album? Groovy. A fun night out with friends? Totally groovy. It was the go-to, easygoing stamp of approval. But what happened if something was better than just groovy? Like truly mind-blowing? Well, for that, you needed something with a little more punch. Far out. This was reserved for things that were just exceptionally cool or totally impressive. So you can kind of see the ladder here, right? Think of it this way. Groovy is good, but far out, well, that's on a whole other level. It's the difference between a thumbs up and a full-on rocket launch. And if all that far out excitement just got to be a little too much, you'd tell someone to mellow out. This phrase was so much more than just calm down. It was part of this bigger cultural idea of just taking it easy and pushing back against the uptight norms of the past. So, how did all this stuff actually fit together in an everyday chat? Let's dive into the daily jive. These are the terms you'd hear absolutely everywhere, from school hallways to the office. Every generation has its own slang for money, and in the 70s, it was all about bread. So if you heard someone say they were low on bread, it had nothing to do with the bakery, it just meant they were short on cash. Oh, this one is so good, so versatile. Right on was the perfect way to show you agreed with something or were just enthusiastic. You like that idea? Right on. You excited for the concert? Right on. Simple, positive, and gets right to the point. All right, let's say you needed to get out of somewhere, and fast. You wouldn't just leave, no, you'd book. The word itself just implies this real sense of urgency, the kind you feel when you suddenly realize, I got a book, I'm late for class. You can just feel the rush in that sentence, can't you? It's just so much more descriptive than saying, I have to go. Feeling a little hungry? You weren't looking for food, you were on the hunt for some grub. It's just a simple, no-fuss, down-to-earth word that often showed up as part of a really friendly invitation. Hey, want to go grab some grub? It just has that friendly communal feel, doesn't it? It's an informal, warm way to ask someone to share a meal, and it was super common. Okay, this is the moment you've been waiting for. We've explored the good vibes, we've covered the daily chatter. Now, it's finally time to solve the mystery we kicked things off with. Let's do this. After all this talk about groovy people and mellowing out, there was, of course, also a term for someone you definitely did not want to be. And here it is. A jive turkey is someone who's unreliable, irresponsible, or just straight up deceitful. Being called a jive turkey was a major insult. It meant you couldn't be trusted, that you were a phony. So, mystery solved. So, now that we have decoded the past, let's bring it all back to the present. Language is always changing, right? So, which of these groovy terms have actually managed to stick around? And this is where it gets really fun. I want you to just think about the words we've covered. Which ones sound kind of familiar? Which ones have you, maybe, even used yourself without ever realizing they were straight out of the 70s? And here they are, our surprise survivors. Now, you might get a funny look for saying groovy today. But phrases like, I gotta book it, when you're in a hurry, or let's go grab some grub, yeah, those are still incredibly common. They've just seamlessly become part of how we talk now.
And that's really the big takeaway from all this. Slang is so much more than just a bunch of quirky words. It's a living, breathing time capsule that preserves the attitudes, the feelings, and the social history of a time in a way that regular formal language just can't.
So that leaves us with one last thing to think about. What words are we using right now, every single day, that are going to sound just as dated and fascinating as groovy or far out do to us? What is our slang going to say about our time? Definitely something to chew on.